All right, you want a real American voice, a story you can feel down to your bones, the kind you might hear in some small town bar over a cheap beer, or maybe from your old man out on the porch when the day's just a little too long and the past won't let go. So here goes my story told straight, no breaks, no hiding behind fancy words. And right up front, let me say, if you've ever been pushed to the edge by people with more money than morals, well, you're about to hear something you won't forget. Let me hit you with this 24 hours ago. I was one signature away from losing my home. Yeah, the place I built with my own hands to a bunch of HOA crooks who thought blue collar meant bottom of the barrel. Today I own their houses. I'm standing in the very driveway where I got served those foreclosure papers, my diesel still ticking boots grinding the same gravel where Miranda Ashworth, the so-called queen bee of our HOA, stood and tried to break me. You ever tasted revenge that's legal, cold, and public? That's sweeter than anything you'll ever find in a bottle. See, Miranda and her crew thought they could stomp out a working man with threats and red tape. She told me flat out, "You don't belong in a nice neighborhood." Can you imagine? Told me I was lowering the value of her world by just living in it. Thing is, people like that always overlook one thing, guys. Like me, don't scare easy. You come for our homes, our memories, you better be ready for a fight. And yeah, I fought. But before we get to the fireworks, let's rewind. I'm Garrett Blackwood, born and raised with more stubborn in me than sense, probably. 15 years ago, I took the last of my life insurance. My wife Sarah passed after a brutal fight with cancer and bought a half-acre outside Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was just fields, then nothing much but dreams and empty sky. The money was supposed to be for something special. Guess grief will make you desperate to build anything that lasts. So, I built it. Weekends, holidays didn't matter. Me and a pile of lumber, a mountain of wiring, Sarah's sketches taped up on the walls. She'd always wanted a big kitchen window facing the sunrise, a workshop space for grandkids we'd never have. Every nail, every wire, every curse when I smashed my thumb, it was therapy. The kind you don't talk about, you just do. Saved my life, that house. Moved in, watched the neighborhood rise up around me. Back then, no HOA, no rules, but don't bother your neighbor. I kept my old Ford truck out front, ladders piled high, and no one gave me grief. And then Miranda moved in. If you ever want to know what entitlement looks like, picture a white BMW, high heels clacking on pavement, perfume strong enough to peel paint. 6 months after she arrived, she was HOA president. Said she wanted to protect our investments. What she really wanted was control. First came the letters. One Tuesday morning, I opened the door, and there she is handing me a violation notice on cardstock thick enough to make a wedding invitation jealous. No commercial vehicles in driveways, she tells me. Didn't ask, didn't smile. I told her I never signed any damn covenants. The covenants run with the land. Mr. Blackwood, she said, like she was quoting the Bible. That word built dripped off her tongue like I'd set up a meth lab, not a family home. The fines piled up. $50 a hundred, then $500 a pop for my truck, my shed, even my nephew's old basketball hoop. Red ink, her signature underlined twice just to make sure I felt it. And when I tried to talk sense into her at the mailbox, she just sneered. Some people just don't belong here. Man, I wanted to scream. Then came the foreclosure notice. Certified mail on a Friday. $47,000 in accumulated fines and fees. Pay in 30 days or else. I'd almost paid off my mortgage, 60 grand to go on a house worth 6 times that. Suddenly, all of it could be gone. I read that letter over and over, trying to figure out how parking my truck had turned into losing everything. There it was. Tiny print, unpaid fines become a liens mean foreclosure. When I called Miranda, she was smug as ever. You should have read the fine print, Garrett. Due diligence. Sitting in my kitchen that night, looking out Sarah's favorite window, I decided I wasn't letting these people steal the last thing I had from her. Miranda didn't even wait out the 30 days. She pushed for an emergency board meeting, said my truck was an immediate threat to the neighborhood. Spun the story to anyone who'd listen at the coffee shop. She's stirring her latte, saying sometimes tough love is needed. That's when I realized bullies count on you not knowing the rules. But I'd spent my whole career following wiring diagrams. I could learn the law too. I spent that weekend neck deep in Oklahoma HOA statutes, burning through printer ink. Turns out they'd skipped a step. State law says minimum 30 days notice on foreclosures. Miranda had tried to fast-track mine in 14. That's illegal as it gets. So Monday morning I filed an emergency injunction. Cost me $300 I didn't really have, but cheaper than losing my house. Represented myself in court suit and tie, still smelling like machine oil. Judge took one look at the papers, called Miranda up, and asked, "Did you consult counsel before bypassing state law?" Her face went from fake tan to purple in seconds. She tried to talk her way out of it. Didn't work. Judge granted me 30 days, ordered the HOA to pay my fees. I walked out, feeling for the first time maybe I had a shot. But Miranda wasn't done. 2 days later, city code enforcement is at my door. Anonymous tip about unpermitted electrical work. The inspector found one outlet I'd put in my garage 8 years back didn't have a permit. Suddenly I'm looking at $15,000 in fines and a threat to my license. Out the window there's Miranda, arms crossed, smirking like she's won. The inspector's apologetic, but we both know who's behind it. So I doubled down. Miranda kept coming, special emergency assessments of $5,000 a house. Community improvement, she said, but really just padding a war chest to crush me. Thing is, her cronies on the board had their properties under LLCs and were exempt. The rest of us, not so lucky. That ticked me off. I started digging county records, property filings, dusty files that smelled like my granddad's basement. And that's where the whole house of cards came down. Found out the original HOA was incorporated in 1987. For 20 years. No one ever renewed it. So since 2007, there hadn't been a legal HOA at all. All Miranda's fines null and void. Every threat, every foreclosure, all based on a dead entity. She'd been collecting fees with no more authority than a lemonade stand. Now I had evidence. Did Miranda back down? Heck no. Hired a city law firm, sued me for $63,000, tried to put a lien on my house anyway. One night someone slashed my truck tires. Then flyers started showing up on doorsteps. One bad apple spoils the bunch. My mailbox spray painted, "Move out" in red, same shade as her signature. But you know, small town guys like me, we talk. My friend Jake from the next county over tells me about another HOA president running a foreclosure scam. Same law firm, same playbook. That guy wound up behind bars. The more I dug, the more it stank. And then Miranda got nasty. Discovered my late wife still owned 40% of the house, standard Oklahoma law for married folks. Miranda found Sarah's estranged sister Rebecca, dragged her into a bogus lawsuit, claimed the estate was mishandled, tried to split the house value. She called Sarah's memory an inconvenient legal complication. That cut deep, no lie. But grief can be a hell of a motivator. I spent weekends at the law library, found 3 cases where Miranda's lawyer had pulled this same trick, racking up billable hours until people caved. And that's when things shifted. Found out the HOA's insurance only covered actions taken by a legally authorized board. Since the HOA was dead, every lawsuit, every fee fraud. The insurance company could cancel their policy and sue to get their money back. Even better, all those board members were now personally on the hook for damages. Didn't take long for the cracks to show. But Miranda wasn't done. Power company got an anonymous call about a gas leak. My power got cut during a city inspection, made me look like a fool. False police reports, neighbors giving me the stink eye V. A called about my benefits thanks to another anonymous complaint. All smoke, no fire, but it wears you down. And then her son and his friends broke into my workshop, trashed my tools, unspooled wires like it was some big joke. Cops shrugged it off as boys, being boys. That was the last straw. See, that's the moment I stopped playing by her rules. Jake called. Turns out the HOA president in Broken Arrow, Miranda's friend, got hauled off in cuffs for foreclosure fraud. Same law firm, same tactics. I started pulling records, and holy hell, this wasn't just my problem. There were 23 other homeowners across 7 subdivisions, all getting hammered with fake violations, forced foreclosures, then shell companies buying the houses for pennies and flipping them. Best part, Miranda's husband worked at the same bank handling the foreclosures. Talk about a conflict of interest. That's wire fraud, insider trading, the whole 9 yards. And Miranda, she documented everything right down to her blood-red signature. I organized evidence, called other victims, found a retired paralegal named Betty and a local reporter named Marcus. Brought in Detective Bradley from Financial Crimes. We built a case brick by brick. Turns out this wasn't just harassment. It was RICO territory racketeering. Miranda never passed the bar, had been practicing law illegally for years. And when we dropped that bomb, the insurance company pulled their policy, state regulators got involved, and the feds opened an investigation. The neighbors, even the ones who'd turned their backs, came around when they realized they'd been marked as easy prey too. Miranda tried every dirty trick in the book, planted stories in the paper about me, threatened the TV station, tried to bribe the county clerk to lose the original HOA files. Joke's on her, the clerk had been recording all government interactions since a corruption scandal a few years back. Got Miranda on tape, cash in hand, offering a bribe. Federal charges, bribery, fraud, obstruction, and more. When the day of the foreclosure auction rolled around, she strutted through my yard showing off my house to buyers like she already owned it. What she didn't know was that the whole thing was a setup. Media, investigators, neighbors all waiting for the fireworks. And boy, did they go off. FBI, IRS, and federal marshals showed up. The insurance company demanded $800,000 back from the board. 2 of her cronies resigned and flipped. Betty called a special meeting, the neighborhood voted Miranda out, and the new board voided every fake violation. Miranda's company was banned, her bank accounts frozen. When she got caught shredding evidence in her law firm's office, that was the nail in the coffin. The news blew up. State and national attention. The court case was open and shut. Miranda, her husband, the law firm, all facing federal charges. In the courtroom, she finally broke screaming about undesirable elements ruining her dream. She got arrested right then and there. That was the moment, after all those nights staring out Sarah's window, all the fear and anger and grief, I finally breathed easy. 18 months later, I still wake up sometimes expecting to see another violation notice on my door. But it's different now. The community center used to be Miranda's house. We built a playground with the restitution money. The judge called her crimes a systematic attack on the American dream. 8 years in prison, $1.8 million in restitution. Her husband banned from banking. The law firm disbarred. The neighbors got their homes back, their dignity too. We changed state law. HOAs have to play fair now. And me, I met Anna, another widow who fought back against her own HOA bullies. Built her son an accessible house right here with the same neighbors who once gave me the cold shoulder, now volunteering on weekends. Sarah's memory lives on a memorial garden, a scholarship fund for kids learning a trade. And every time I hear those wind chimes, I remember justice isn't about revenge. It's about building something better after the storm. The best part, last month, Miranda's final appeal got tossed. She'll serve every day of that sentence. The woman who said I didn't belong, she's learning all about belonging in federal prison. So that's it. I went from nearly losing everything to helping fix the system that tried to crush me. The crunch of gravel under my boots, it sounds like home now. My old truck right where it belongs. And if you're listening to this, don't let anyone tell you you don't belong. Stand up, fight back, document everything, connect with others, and never ever let the bullies win. Let me ask you, where's the line between protecting a community and abusing power? Is there ever a good reason for rules to become weapons? Drop your stories in the comments. If you've ever had an HOA nightmare or you've watched a little guy stand up to a bully and win, let's hear it. Because justice only works when we all have each other's backs. And hey, subscribe if you want more real stories about regular people beating the odds. Next time I'll tell you how a city councilman tried to shut me down for good, and how karma handled that one too. Remember, facts beat fear, documentation beats intimidation, and sometimes the best revenge is living well in the house they tried to steal.